Well, hello, thank you. Do you know you're 200 or so here tonight? Only a few days ago it was 100. I'm not sure how many we thought were going to turn up, but it's wonderful to see how many of you are concerned. We're the group who've been concerned, and we've sort of jumping at the bit to talk to you, but waiting for the Hampshire plan and BT's implementation to make some progress before we wanted to launch our group. I've been in this group for more than a year now, Anthony for more than that, but I've personally been working on broadband stuff in the New Forest for more than 12 years. I sponsored a BT trial called Exchange Activate in Lyndhurst back in 2003, and that brought the first broadband into the forest. But behind that, I've been working on multimedia and networking. I had 11 years in the States working in Microsoft's operating systems division as program manager for various networking and multimedia things. As part of that, I was having DSL back in the States in '97. So when I came back here in '99, I just thought, straightforward, I'll just pay for broadband in Lyndhurst, and the neighbours can just have it, and I know I'll get my money back. And then, of course, reality hit. I got this strange chance to sponsor this Exchange Activate trial, but I'm a huge believer that this will not, in fact, be supplied by the state. I think one of the problems that we have with broadband, this may be a state thing, it may be a British thing, my experience in America is a bit different, but everybody loves to think that somebody else is going to solve this problem for us. And politicians will naturally tend to get up and say, don't worry, I'm going to look after you. And in 15 years of being back, of course, it's nowhere where I want it to be. Where I want it to be is actually 40 gigabits per second bidirectional to all our homes, and I'm prepared to have gigabit bidirectional. Okay, what I'm doing with a smile is saying my goals are way out there. I've been working on this for 12 years. I think I've got about another 20 years left, and we'll see how it goes. So, that's why I'm on this committee with others. We are a coordinating and campaigning group. We're using the brand New Forest brand because that's a campaign. I'm actually on the board of the New Forest Business Partnership, as is Anthony and others. But we are a campaigning group. We are a coordinating group. So let's say what we support. I shouldn't use rude words, but we're not just a complaining group. We do support what's happening. The Hans plan as implemented by BT. From my point of view, since I want to go a long way with this, it's really because it's bringing fibre closer into the communities. You realise if you want to have a fibre-based leased line in the middle of the forest, you're going to pay a distance-dependent installation charge, and that fibre may be coming all the way from Southampton. Even though you know it's available at the local school, you can't order it from the local school for all sorts of complicated contractual issues, including European competition law, blah. But if fibre is brought to our cabinets in our communities, we are quite literally miles or tens of miles better. So we're going to support it like mad. Okay, it is late and all sorts of other things, but I'm not going to do that till later. And otherwise, what that will do is speed up our DSL for many people. That's not everyone, but this is the good news part. But I do want to promote realistic expectations, and I'm not a politician, and we want to inform people locally and openly and set expectations correctly. For the techie or mathematicians in you, you understand that the speed of DSL is related to the inverse cube of the line length of your copper, and made worse by the quality of your copper. What that means is it goes fast and drops off quickly. And in this round of technology called fibre to the cabinet, which introduces VDSL protocols and technology, it runs pretty fast up to about 300 metres from your cabinet. In this generation, sort of acceptably around a kilometre and a bit, but it can actually be worse than the ADSL technology you already have. In other words, if you're somewhat more than a kilometre from the cabinet, you probably ought to stick with the current technology So you could be sticking with 512k, 1 meg, 2 meg. On the other hand, if you're near a cabinet, you could be getting 80 meg. So it's a highly distance dependent technology. So our group wants to inform correctly, but we do need to push our suppliers hard, push our politicians hard, and give help to you, the groups that we want to foster. We want you, we're one level of evangelists, we want to find the teams of concerned local people, and we want to identify your local champions. That's really what we're after, and I'll come back to that in a bit. So, I've restated the problems. The DSL length dependence is the thing that's killing us in the forest. When we all get fibre to the premises, when I'm 20 years older, etc. That can run for tens of kilometres with no problems, and we'll all get, a predictable speed. But we have added problems in the forest, and some of them we want to supply help. Our group wants to help BT as well and help Hans. We are proud of our heritage. We're proud, I think, that we don't have lots of high buildings and masts. So in other Greek islands or Arabic deserts or whatever, you can put up incredible, powerful wireless solutions. You're not going to kill any animals or any people. And, we read about this. It's not going to happen in the forest. The verderers quite rightly protect our forest. In fact, I think for 900 years they've been able to stand up and say no to Westminster as well, and it is their primary job. We have unique problems. I think we as forest residents and so forth, we can help BT and Hans work with our verderers. What it really means for us is BT ourselves, we have very little freedom to dig the area we live in. So we can't do wireless stuff and we can't dig. What can we do? Anyhow. Now, the other thing is, because we're difficult, our politicians, Hans and BT, can achieve the 95% in Hampshire without achieving 95% in the forest. And where we are in fact difficult, we will be passed over, because it's only sensible to do so. So we do need to work together to make it as easy as possible. But our group recognised we're going to exist longer than just this 2015-2019 campaign. I don't know what level I'll work at for the next 20 years, but this is going to just roll and roll. So, and that means, that's where I say here, super fast. And I can say it isn't jolly fast. What is super fast? I know what the definition is, but I know how it's fudged. And is it an average, or was that Tuesday evenings at 4 AM when nobody's using the Lyndhurst Exchange, or what? I'm quite sure by the end of 2019, which is this current programme, super fast is not going to seem fast enough for a lot of us. To give you an example, I think the US is about to change their definition of broadband to mean 25 megabits or better. When we started doing this in the late 90s, everybody was talking about broadband as being 2 meg or better, and it kind of got rolled out at 512k or better. Superfast is meant to mean, I think it's 24 meg or better, but I'm very lucky my exchange and my cabinet is now served, and I'm getting 15 meg. Oh dear. That means the money's been spent on me. There is a bit of good news. It means that I have to look after myself, and I'm actually really in favour of the communities looking after themselves. Just need somebody to let me. We'll come back to that. So superfast won't be jolly fast by 2019, I think. In the rest of the country, you'll see quite a lot of fibre rollout. That's initially at 300 meg down, 30 meg back. The technology not only can leap to gigabit symmetrical, but it goes up to 40 gig in London, and we know, the speed of light is the fastest we can get. That's what you get down the fibre. There are lots of things we do to make fibre get faster and faster. So the time moves fast. I've been doing this since at least 2003. The other fact, actually, is saying with the computers I've worked with post-university, of course, we're 9 or 10 orders of magnitude faster, 3 orders of magnitude cheaper. We moved 12 orders of magnitude. We haven't touched what we're going to do with telecoms. So the last point on this slide here is really that we can all make a lot of noise. I can do it as well as anybody, and better than many. Better than many, but I'm not going to, because lots of noise is no damn good. It is great to see lots of enthusiasm in the forest, but it isn't useful that there are lots of groups and lots of noise from lots of groups and lots of people dreaming about trying things that could never possibly work here, and keeping busy people in Hampshire responding to noise instead of doing stuff. I hope I'm not going to get this wrong, Glenn, but I think your primary job is managing and delivering on a contract that is agreed with BT, and we want to help you deliver that. I bet you spend a huge amount of time hearing complaints, and I know BT do, and there's nothing you can do about them, because you need more money and more knowledge and more help. So we want to do that. So our group, I don't think we have a finite size. We have an initial mission. We're very happy to evolve it with your feedback, but we are a group that has representation from business, local government and community. We have certainly technical experience, political and community politics experience. You have a document in there which we are setting ourselves goals, and we're negotiating with others to get their support for our goals. In other words, we want to make them reasonable and achievable goals. Specifically, we do believe there should be universal coverage. It's complicated. We always see satellite thrown out. That's not what we're talking about, really. The universal coverage is terrestrial-based coverage. I know distance-independent technologies basically mean fibre, but clearly we're going to have wireless point-to-point networks. We're going to have mobile 4G, 5G type networks. We do want coverage for everybody in the forest. I think on our document we've put 10, but last week we were arguing, saying, oh, the average seems to be about 15, we should do that. You hear BDUK and others saying that everything that will be funded will be for sort of 30 meg. Our goal will move, and we would like to hear always from you what is reasonable. Of course, we know that people would be delighted to receive 2 meg at this stage. So, my personal interest is the leading edge exemplar solutions, and as we did the Exchange Activate 12 years ago, Glenn had on his slide something called fibre to the remote node. Once the fibre has come to the cabinets, once it's in our community, we should be able to order it. If you're in a community that's got a church spire and everybody's got tall chimneys and you wish to set up a wireless network, maybe that's what you'll do. If you're in a community that happens to be near, business that's already bought a fibre leased line and is willing to resell some of it to you, maybe that's what you'll do. We'll want to work with you on that. If you're not able to dig up your roads, if you don't own any chimneys, fibre to the remote node is very interesting to me. There are lots of solutions that sort of work when you've got about 16 people, and having done this, it's got to remain small enough that through, either bullying or giving favours to your neighbours or whatever it is, you've got to keep a little cohesive group together, because otherwise you get freeloaders, and you'll put some money in a hat, and somebody else thinks they'll get the service free. And this is a problem for BT, it's a problem for Hans. Mixing state money and private money is extraordinarily complex. There are no easy answers here today, but it's something that we are navigating through, we want to help you with. So, our group exists as the Brand New Forest Broadband Group. We do exist to coordinate all the efforts across the New Forest districts. Our primary goal of this evening is to identify those groups, and probably for each group a technical champion and probably a political type champion. We can't deal with everybody and everybody can't handle the noise. But an awful lot of these problems are solved down the pub. Somebody who's willing to chat to people and knock on a few doors. Somebody who's going to be recognised so that when he goes around with a smartphone to determine the latitude and longitude of your house, the DP, the cabinet, and where the lines go through somebody's garden. If it's a terribly official person who's come in a white van, you have to hold a badge and it slows everything down. If it's somebody who's known in the pub and makes a bit of a noise, you'll probably let them in the garden and we can get results more quickly. So we're going to build this team of local champions. And, you know, actually we don't have any authority or any money as a group. And I can tell you that NFDC and the National Park Authority don't have a lot of money. And Hampshire's money is pretty finite. But we do have the local presence. And as such, we have been, well, we are out of the New Forest Business Partnership, so implicit recognition by them. New Forest District Council, New Forest National Park Association and Hants County Council recognise us as the group. So, that doesn't mean we're no damn good if we just constrain you. We must offer you some services, and it's the only way we can coordinate things. I'm a huge fan of a public-facing GIS system. You've all seen the maps. Postcode-based maps are not going to be good enough for what we need to do. We need to know the latitude and longitude of every single premises. That's anybody's using their phone line. We need to know the heights of tall things. And the speed that you're going to get is going to be based on the line length if it is based on phone line technologies. So therefore we're going to have to know about cabinets, distribution points on poles, how they connect, and we actually, once we know the speed of a few lines in an area, you can work out what the speed of the other lines is going to be. You understand that sort of maths. We will work with and help educate you as local groups, and there are so many dead ends, there are so many things you can't try. But if you far from kill your ideas, we want to foster the ones that could work. We certainly have experience of various people in our group have put in bids for public funds, so we can advise on that, which is of course an ever-changing, complicated thing to go through. But I personally think most people I've spoken to think sometime between 2015 and 2019, most people are going to realise they've not gone fast enough. I think the good news in the forest is there's actually plenty of value in our houses. I mean, just simply, if we all put 1% of the value of our houses in a pot to pay for doing the job, I think our house prices will go up by 5% and we get what we want. We're not free to do that, as illogical as that may be, but I think there will be, once we have a few models that work, I think there will be private funding, perhaps some quite large private funding around, people who like to serve their community and maybe even make money out of it. So we hope we'll be matchmakers for private funding. And then the scale of the solutions that will go out, we know that the backhaul is probably one of the most, the backhaul is the connection for your little network, whatever you may choose to do, to the big wide world. That's probably the most expensive thing you're going to have to pay year by year. So sharing that between adjacent groups, and of course sharing services. People don't just buy broadband, I suppose, to raise the value of their houses, they want to use it. If we can have compelling or even exclusive local services, we will pull people into our networks. So we like to identify and share those. So my closing slide really here is, please register yourselves and your group with us. It may again be daft, but for all sorts of data protection reasons, you've all been invited here, but our group doesn't know about you. We also, though, want to know much more than Hans already knows about you. So the first thing here is we'd like to know, of course, how we reach you. We'd like to know your address. We're going to follow this up. We want to know your phone line, your postcode initially, but we will want to know things like your latitude and longitude, which you can find with a smartphone nowadays. We may want to know the heights of tall buildings. We certainly want to know which group you're a part of and have you all identify who your local champions are. And we don't know what we want yet, so please, I'm not sure if on the paper form you're going to fill today, but wherever.
Forms at the back and you can do it online.
Please share your ideas and your wishes with us. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Alistair.